Hello and welcome to our second episode of UNIGIS Talks. My name is Judith Grubinger and I am coordinating the international UNIGIS programs here in Salzburg. Today I will be talking to Mr. Suman about web mapping with LeafletJS. He graduated last year from the Kathmandu Forestry College, which is hosting the UNIGIS Study Center in Nepal. And Suman is now a very successful and creative entrepreneur, and as I experienced, an expert in Leaflet. Hello, Suman, and thank you so much for coming.
Hello, thank you for the wonderful introduction. My name is Suman Baral, and I work as a freelancer, especially as a data analyst and as a web GIS developer. And I also teach at the universities here in Nepal.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and we met last year when I had the great opportunity to come to the Kathmandu Forestry College in Nepal to tighten our cooperation. And in course of that, I was asked to hold a workshop on Leaflet. I was pretty new in this field, I must admit, and you have been one of my students. And then it turned out that, in fact, you were the real expert. That was quite funny for me. So maybe you could tell us what is Leaflet all about and how it is used?
Yeah, actually, we are also wonderful when you were in Kathmandu, and thank you for that as well. So
Thanks.
because that I'm now here able to present you something about the leaflet. So before knowing about leaflet, can we little bit jump to the basics as well?
Sure. Please explain the basic principles.
Yeah, okay. So let me go back to what actually is web map, because leaflet is used for creating a web map, and a web map, to define a web map is simply the map we see on the browser. So that may be OpenStreetMap, that may be the weather map, that may be the Google Maps. So those are called web maps. And the way web map operates is like a communication between two parties. The client, you as a client, you request for the information, and server that holds the information and gives back you the information. So for example, so if you are asking information about the UNIGIS location to the Google Maps, so what it does is like you will request the information, it goes to the Google server, then Google server finds the information in its database. The database is a place where the information is stored, and it gives that information back to you, and you could see that in the form of in your web browser. So that's pretty simple. The architecture and web maps.
That's good. That really sounds pretty simple, in fact. Okay, now let's go on. But before we start to work with Leaflet, I want to know: do I need some prior or additional knowledge for coding with Leaflet?
Yeah, actually, you need to you need to have some knowledge of the web development. For example, you need to know the HTML, what HTML is, what CSS is, and what JS is. So regarding talking about HTML, it's when you compare with the human body, so it's the bone structure that makes up a human. Similarly, HTML makes the structure of web pages, and CSS is the aesthetics part. Like we wear coats, with sweaters, our skins, and everything. So that's with the CSS.
The stylish part.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cascading style sheet. And JS, so like I'm interacting, like I'm using my hand and then using my mouth to speak and other interactions that I did. So similarly, when you click on the map or when you click on the buttons, it will give something. So that's called the JavaScript. So if we have this, and second is the leaflets itself. So leaflet, so understanding leaflet, yeah, it's like, so let me give you an example here. So you're in a party and there are many dishes in a buffet. So what happens is like you just need to know how to put certain dishes in your plate and arrange those as a beautifully and then eat. So similarly, Leaflet is also a framework that has pre-codes. It's just that you need to know where component you need to put and you can create the beautiful maps. I think you have gained experience as well, right? So after that meeting in Kathmandu. So do you have any experience?
I have. I already cooked something with it, and Leaflet sounds really delicious, I must admit now. Well, yeah, last year, I worked a little with Leaflet and with my basic with HTML and CSS, and it was really good. And I experienced that making a map with Leaflet offers you so many options. And I think that for a GIS expert, Leaflet can do so much, But I must admit that I haven't been using it since we met. I now only remember a few things now. I almost forgot everything because I've got a memory like a goldfish. So, however, of course, I tried to prepare for this talk and I wanted to refresh and deepen my knowledge so that our meeting wouldn't get too embarrassing for me. Well, and how do I do this these days? Of course, I ask ChatGPT to work with me for me. So what I did is I took the map that I developed with the students last year in a 4 hours workshop and asked ChatGPT to code the same thing. And this was an interesting journey that I want to share with our viewers now. So first of all, let's see. I want to show you. So which screen is on air now? That would be interesting. Can you see it, Suman?
Yeah, so it's with the district layers.
Ah, perfect. Okay, thanks. So this is the map we made. We have a map with a base map of OSM. We put the district borders of Nepal on it. We have an image marker and a pop-up when you click on it. And there's also a very nice function that tells you the coordinates wherever you click. So this is the map we made, and I put all these requirements into a prompt and asked ChatGPT to do it. So this is my prompt where I ask, please give me a code for Leaflet and so on. And if you put it in here, it goes really fast. It immediately starts to answer you and tells you at the beginning some details and information. And then it comes up with the code, a ready-made code. And it also tells you that you have to save it as an HTML file, that you go to sure that the image I used for the marker that you put on the right place, also the district borders, the data, put it on the right place into the code. And then you just have to copy and paste it in a text editor, save it as HTML file and open it in any browser, and it will show you the map, hopefully. So again, here it comes with an HTML code. It says the height and the width, so the size of the map. It makes a different box where to put in the map. It comes up with the scripting code. It's got marker, the icon where it uses the photograph of my daughter. And it also puts in the district borders and also the function for asking the coordinates. So this looks really good. And I copied and pasted it in. And what I got first looked like this. So my first attempt wasn't really good. It just gave me a blank screen. So I went on and reformulated my prompt. And the other one was this I got. So that was pretty good. I got a map with Nepal centered and also a marker here. And when I click on it, there came a pop-up with the picture. That was really funny. But then I even improved my prompt, and the best attempt I got was this one. So it also shows a map with OSM as base map. It's centered on Nepal with a nice zoom level. And it's got this picture marker here, which says Charlotte loves Pipa Lechuk. So this is quite nice, I think. Nevertheless, you know, it's not everything I asked for. So we are missing out on the district borders, for example. Even there was a snippet in the code. And also it doesn't tell me the coordinates when I click somewhere. So these are 2 points that I'm missing on. Everything else looks quite good. And I experienced that it very much depends on the way you write your prompt, and that as more information you give the AI, the better the results are. So that would mean you need some prior knowledge of zoom levels, of base maps, of markers, and so on to get proper results as well. And if that is the case, a leaflet expert can be more efficient with ChatGPT. I think you would have done it better than me, Suman. Did you ever use ChatGPT to work on one of your online maps?
Yeah, I do use ChatGPT sometimes to create the code snippets. Code snippets are small pieces of code that you can embed within the bigger chunk of code. So I use that. And if you know what you are doing, then it gives you very effective results in very fast time. But you need to know how it's done.
Yeah, well, yes, I think it's fun and it could support one, but it's a lot of trial and error. And I think writing the code by yourself then might be faster and more straightforward for sure. So I think there's no way around. You have to learn Leaflet yourself, and maybe Suman can now show us an efficient way to do so. Would you just want to show our audience how you would start learning Leaflet?
Okay, sure. So I'll show you some of the things, some of the basic things that if you can cover these things, then you can be good at Leaflet if you practice on it. So let me share my screen. So would you please give me the access to share?
Yeah, I think I thought I have done it already. No, doesn't work.
No, actually, I couldn't show my screen. So maybe you can work on that. In between, I'll be also talking about like the basics. So if you are, yeah, actually it's here. So let me show my screen.
Yeah, perfect.
So let me add in some components here first.
So you're working on the code that I made with ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Fixing
So
all my problems.
yeah, exactly. So if you are seeing my code, so first thing what I like to reiterate on things is like, if you are working on Leaflet, then you should be first comfortable with the official documentation, because official documentation shows you how things are done, and it also shows you some examples. So here in case of Leaflet, so it's hosted in leafletjs.com. So it's the official documentation. And it shows you how components are built and how you can use on your own. So for example, while creating a map, so for example here, creating this map div, it's simply about, you can create like this. So with map method with two objects, two parameters, with first as the div and second as the options. So here also it has explained this one. So I'll be covering a little bit more afterwards as well. So, but for now, let me check the code written by Judith.
Yeah, I think the official documentation is really, really nice. I also worked with that, and it gives you all the information you need.
Yeah, exactly. So then let me check this code. So I'll not take much of a time here, but
there's a problem in my code.
Yeah, there is a problem. So you can see the problem here. So it's in the line number 68, l.geojson.ajax. If you can track my cursor here. So let's see on 68. 68, actually, it's problem here. So this is not defined in Leaflet. So let's see in the documentation itself. So what does actually l.geojson is written? L.geojson with first as the GeoJSON object, second as options, but actually we have added here .ajax as well. So Ajax is not permitted here.
No, this doesn't even exist, right? Just invented by ChatGPT. The code.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and we should be very careful while using that code. Sometimes it gives wrong answer very confidently, generative AI. So if you know by yourself, it will be much easier for you. So let me check district.js as well. Actually, district.js, the GeoJSON has been written, has been given a name border here. But actually it's given district.js. So let me change this here.
It used the wrong name then. Not the variable name, but the file name.
Yeah, and let me call this as well. So since I've written many codes here, taking into consideration that we do have very less time and we do have more contents to explain. So I'll just uncomment this one. That's and fine. Let me show you.
So ChatGPT was also missing on that. He did not put the source on top, right? So no way to show it in the map.
Yeah, exactly. So this one, so this map, now you can see the map.
Even in the right color, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So now if you wanted to, so you can play with it. For example, I just change color purple to red. Then I'll just save. Then let's see what happens in the map. Now it's red. So you can play with it. So now, yeah, I'll also now let me talk about a little bit about the hassle that you will be facing while writing codes. There may be problem with the syntax, like here it was .ajax, so it needs to follow certain grammars as per the library or the frameworks. So if we have wrong grammar, then it may create a problem. So that called the syntax error. And there may be some problem with the logics as well. That's called the semantic error. So you can check with different methods. So for example, we see the problem here in the console previously. So that was the syntax error. Syntax error will not be a bigger problem, but actually it will be semantic error. So there are various ways that you can do or track the errors. First is by using the console.log. For example, if I click here and refresh the page, and I'll have here the object here, the border object. And then second is with defining the debugger. Writing the debugger itself. So what it does is like it stops the code here and you can track one by one. So since I'll not be going detail into it, and other is within the browser functionality, you can add some breakpoints. You can add some breakpoints in the code and track one by one. So you can just note it down for one and for now, and you can work afterwards.
So that's how you just check the code step by step. So you really find what is not working and what is working. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly. So and next thing is like since if we see the size of this district.js, that's a GeoJSON file, it's like around 18 MB of file. Now imagine you are loading the web map in your mobile phone and you have to load 18 MB file every time. So that will be hectic. And there are some more features or services. So that has been hosted, that will be hosted by the GIS server. So that's called the web map service that will give in the form of the tiles, 256 by 256 tiles, pixel tiles. So let me show you. I've loaded this from NTNC. This is from Nepal. I'll just uncomment this one. And let's see what will be loaded here. So now we do have other layer here as well. So we don't have to host all by ourselves. So someone may host it, have TVs of GBs or MBs of data. So we can just call that service and then load in our map.
So you can not only load the GeoJSON data you want, but also can use WMS services and WFS services and add them into your code.
Yeah, we
nice.
can do that. And second option, let's go with the different base layer. One base layer may be monotonous, so I'll be adding different base layer. And one of the best site that I use for the base layer is this one. So you can simply click here and then copy the code and paste your code here and add that to the map, and it works fine. But for now, I'm just uncommenting. I've already written that. So, and let's refresh this site again.
Yeah, and on that side, there are really loads of base maps. You don't have to use the boring OSM base map, but you can just load fantastic watercolor and everything. So this is, and it's so easy. There's the code already there. You just take it and you know, copy and paste it. That's really nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty simple as long as you know how to do it, right?
Cool.
And
or
then,
you just debug it, then you know how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which layer is loaded in what part and when it's loaded, and you can do that. And now let's go back a little bit deeper into, so I'll take a little bit of time. So I'll try to finish as soon, but I think this is what I need to present. For example, I need to create a marker. Then you can simply, like I said previously, you can go to the documentation and you can just write l.marker, and what parameters does it take is latitude, longitude, and the marker options. Marker options are here, and icon. If you click on icon, then it also gives the detail, and it also gives the how you can use with users example. So let me use this. Actually, I've already written here. Let me just uncomment. So what I did, l.marker. So that's the standard grammar by Leaflet. You need to have the latitude, longitude, and if you have if you can have extra styles, then you can define here. I have written here this one. So if I click here on icon, so it has, it also shows how it's written. So what are the options, different options, so you can use here. So let me refresh this one. So now it's like I have used the custom marker, this black of stupa. So now it's loaded here. So now I do have many layers, right? So one is over the other. So you may not see one if it's covered by other. So in that case,
that's what I wanted to ask you, because I've seen on one of your sites that you can you know, activate and deactivate the layers. Is it what you want to show us now?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing that I wanted to show you. So for this, documentation is one way. Second is like you can first learn from the tutorial itself as well. So you can go to the tutorials. Like I referenced from here.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, it's clearly written, so how you use and what is the way of using. So it has given in the tutorial page, so I have just used that. So for that, simply I'll first define the base layers and then have those and keep those name and give those name and have those layers in the base maps. And I'll also define the overlays, and I'll add this to the map as a layer control. So let's see. So now it's here. You can switch between different
Wow, that's
different
fantastic.
layers. You can on and off.
So you made the thing work now and added even more functionalities. That's so cool, really. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, one thing to the audience, if you have a question, please post it in the chat and we'll be happy to answer them all. And now, Suman, you made numerous maps, I think, so far with Leaflet. Would you be able to show us one of your examples? Because the time is running. Maybe we just show one of your nice maps that you did.
Okay, sure. So I think we are running out of time. So I'll just take around 20 seconds. So if you wanted to go a little bit deeper, you can go to the plugin sections here. So plugins. So it has many sorts of like written pre-made code. So based on the leaflet, and you can use that directly. So for example, let me load this one. So I'll just uncomment this too. It's the draw plugin. So now I'll also moving. So let this be loaded. So let me show you this this map. This is this is the map that I created in 2017. It's the GIS-based license management system. I worked as a front-end developer here, a front-end developer as well as the system designer. So this web map hosts the hydropower, the wind power, and other electric power projects of Nepal. So it has different functionalities like I made, like here, if you can track my cursor, so you can see OpenStreetMap. It has a bunch of base layers that I showed previously. Similar to that, it has that, and also the different drawing tools. So here you have polygon here. So if you draw polygon on this map, and it shows the map within that polygon, and it has map legends as well. And if you load the save file, and you can work with the save file as well. And on the right hand side, you can see the filters. So quick filters, the projects will be filtered accordingly in the map itself as well. And if you want to search the projects within the bounding box, you can just enter the bounding box, the latitude and longitude, and it gives you the projects within that bounding box only.
So you made a real interactive map here. And
yeah,
and
exactly.
the filtering is also part of the Leaflet code, or this is a JavaScript code?
Filter actually it's a part of JavaScript overall, but actually after loading, after having that filter, so it has to go back to the leaflet, and for rendering, so it has to call the leaflet. So it's combination of leaflet and the native JS as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So at last, let me show you this one.
One more thing.
This one, and then so I just wanted to show you this one toolbar. So done from my side. So thank you.
So you're done? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Now you see the tools on the left-hand side. That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much. Now, today we have heard that it takes what it takes to start maybe Mac and what it takes to get advanced, actually. And we have seen that it needs a little more than asking ChatGPT, but that there is a wonderful official documentation with examples, descriptions, plugins, tutorials. And in order to learn the language, you should type the code by hand and at the beginning, right? And you should use the debugging functions on Leaflet.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe you get a bit inspired of AI, but never trust it too much. It has got no ideas of layer structures and even gets you wrong coding snippets. So, yeah, that was really cool. Thank you so much, Suman. So, and I think we have an eye on the questions. We've got some questions here. So, oh yeah, are you ready for the questions?
Yes, sure.
So. It says sources like Stack Overflow can really support the learning experience. ChatGPT not so much. Yeah, that's a personal opinion. That's nice. Do we need to be a JavaScript developer to be able to use Leaflet? Is another question.
Yes, exactly. You need to have the basics of JavaScript, but if you can explore further, excel further in the JavaScript, it will be much easier, because when you are using the JavaScript, you all Leaflet, you also need to use the native JavaScript functions, methods, and other features that the JavaScript gives.
But I think at the beginning, the basics are really enough. As when I started to code, I had not so much knowledge about JS. So I think you can start right away and just learn it in parallel, right?
Yeah, you can do that, but actually you need to have a good understanding of JavaScript. So that is the basic.
So will the recording be shared? Yes, we will share our recording later on. What are the limitations of Leaflet compared to open layers? Do you know something about that?
Yeah, actually, the Leaflet is lightweight, but if you are building a bigger applications, so open layers will be much easier for that. And for the beginners, Leaflet is very easy to start. It's lightweight and with many features and examples. But if you go on progressing and doing the bigger applications, I would suggest to go with the open layers.
Okay. So how can I share my map with other people? Somebody asks.
Yeah, actually, there are some ways that you can do, but like we said, like two parties, the client and the server. So if you can host that in the server, then it will be available to all. But actually, there are some other tricks as well, so which you can use for the hosting. But the best way, and the original or maybe the mainstream way, is by hosting on the server and then making it public.
Right. Then there would be one more interested on how to debug. So maybe it's possible to write you an email and ask for the debugging options, because that was very short, but I think it's a very important part. And you had so many ideas how to debug the syntax and the logic. This was really, really nice. But I think it would, be a bit too much now to show again. So would it be able to write to you and ask you for advice?
Yeah, okay, sure. And talking about debugging, actually, this is one of the important topic, but people really they do struggle on this part. But if they excel on this part, then the coding process will be very much easier for everyone who knows the debugging process.
Right. Can I introduce a query filter into the map?
Sorry, what filter?
A query where you only want to see parts of something. I think it's the thing you made maybe with the square. So you draw the square and only got the information about the objects within the square?
Yeah, actually you can do that, and you could do by two ways. So if you are also developing on the backend side, so you can filter from the backend itself. If you think your data needs to be secure and it's private data, and you doesn't want to show all the data, so you can do that. Otherwise, like, it's possible from the front end part as well. So it's very possible. So it's just like you may use, if you are using the GIS server, you could use SQL, and even you can use SQL, SQL process, and other functionalities are also possible.
Yeah, that's nice. Then there's a question about, are there some drawbacks you can think of? Which use cases shouldn't be targeted with Leaflet? What you can't do with it? Or do you have an idea? Where are the limits?
Actually, it's a little bit vague, but actually, if you are trying to have the bigger GIS operations, geospatial operations, so you could jump to other libraries in conjunction or in combination with Leaflet. But actually, for bigger also, it works fine. Leaflet is good. But like I said previously, if you are building a bigger application, then open layers will be much faster, and then it will be much easier to work with if you are experienced developer.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have many more questions. I think that we cannot answer them all here in our talk, but we'll be happy to write the answer to your email afterwards. And now, before we end today's UniGIS talk, I really would like to thank you, Suman, very much for joining and sharing your expertise on Leaflet with us. Your insights and examples and your passion have made this session very informative and engaging, and it's been a great pleasure for me to collaborate with you. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. And last but not the least, I'd like to reiterate on one or two things. So if you are starting to learn coding or Leaflet, find a purpose, find the application. So that may be within your professional field, that may be within some sort of projects. Find that and work on that, because if you don't work on that, you may have chances of getting lost. So after learning one or two features, you may get lost. And use the official documentation and also other examples and tutorials, and use AI wisely. And last but not the least, type all code by yourself. Then you can have a little bit of command over the syntax, and then you can grow fast. Thank you very much.
You told me one day that within 3 months I can be a Leaflet expert, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can do that. And starting today as day 0. So if you start, then you can be a good developer within 3 months.
I will. Thanks also to our listeners. And the next UniGIS talk will be already in February. And I hope we see you there. Thank you so much for coming and listening and watching. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.